Good evening. Welcome to the Farmers Branch City Council meeting of March the 21st, 2023. The time is 6:01. And if you would, please rise as Councilman Merritt gives an invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Jackson.
Lord, thank you for the opportunity to join together this evening to celebrate our community, the folks that reside and participate in our community. Let us do the business of the city this evening with good foresight and good measure of balance to all parties involved. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
So the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas Pledge. Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you. You may be seated. It's a great pleasure that I have a proclamation for another centurion in our city, in the office of mayor, whereas Carol Brewster is celebrating her 100th birthday, and whereas Carol was born in Rhinelander, Wisconsin on February the 5th, 1923, and married to A.E. Brewster in 1943. During World War II, the couple were stationed at the U.S. Army Airfield in Pecos, Texas. After the war, Carol and A.E. Brewer returned to Wisconsin, where they opened an electrical supply company. And in 1951, Carol and her husband co-founded Brewster Realty and Investment Company. The company is still in business today, specializes in commercial real estate and rural subdivision developments. Carol was a licensed real estate salesperson for several years. She was the first girls softball coach at Calumet Elementary in Dallas, and her husband, unofficial co-pilot on the numerous flights in their private plane. And in 2012, shortly after Mr. Brewers passed away, Carol moved to Farmers Branch along with her daughter and son-in-law and has been a resident since then. And Carol enjoys spending time with her daughter, 3 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Now, therefore, I, Bill Glancy, Mayor of the City of Farmers Branch, in recognition of Carol Brewster for her 100th birthday, and wish her continued health and prosperity and happiness. I understand she wasn't able to be with us tonight. She has small illness, but we'll get this to her, and certainly congratulations to Carol. Next, we have a presentation honor from the Dallas College Brookhaven women's soccer team. Do we have representatives of that team here tonight? Come on up. While they're coming up, I'll read you the background. The City of Farmers Branch emphasizes and recognizes the vital role of higher education plays in the success of our city and community. Dallas College Brookhaven campus was founded in 1978 and is nestled between Valley View Lanes and Marsh Lane. The college serves more than 13,000 students a semester and is home of the Bears national soccer team. The college serves the communities of Farmers Branch, Addison, Carrollton, and North Dallas. And the college has a 19-to-1 student ratio of faculty and strives for excellence in the classroom and on the field. Brookhaven Bears won the NJCAA D3 National Championship in 2022. The Brookhaven Bears women's soccer teams knows how to win. With us tonight, we have the soccer team and the coaching staff, and we would like to present Coach Elder with a team with the city's commemorative coin. Coach, would you like to say something? Sure.
Everyone down, give me 10, please. Just kidding. This is my assistant coach, Robert Williams, and these are our wonderful Brookhaven Lady Bears for 2023 spring. Robert and I started the program 8 years ago. We'd never won a conference title, much less a national championship. Since then, we have won quite a few things. In 2022, we set our record of our fourth national championship in the last 8 years, and our first back-to-back championship. And I just want to say that we're here in Farmers Branch. Everyone in the country knows that because they see number one in the country, Brookhaven. It goes off all the polls all over the land, New York, New Jersey, everywhere. And they know Brookhaven College is at a Farmers Branch, Texas, just a suburb right north of Dallas. I would like to say that these girls are recruited from all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We do get an occasional Houston, San Antonio, Austin girl, and these girls come in. For whatever reason, they choose the Brookhaven two-year school college program, and almost all of these girls go to school full-time. They work, many of them full-time, and they practice soccer. And we practice pretty thoroughly. This is my little national team here. This is my SMU team, so they know they train equal to some of the big boys, and they handle it and they get it done, and we hold them accountable, and they're going to be great young ladies in our communities as they go forward. Many of them will go to four-year schools and get their four-year degrees. We have quite a few nursing candidates. We have business. We have journalists. We have all kinds of great student athletes. So really proud of these young ladies. And we appreciate the time to be able to present them because they don't always get a chance to be recognized for what they accomplish, and they work really, really hard to accomplish it. My assistant coach, Robert Williams, has been with me for 8 years. He puts up with me, which is amazing. It's what makes the thing tick, because I am German and I'm not easy sometimes. However, Robert was awarded this year the Assistant Coach of the Year, and I'm very proud of him for receiving that award at the National Soccer Coaches meeting in Philadelphia. That's all I got to say, because I know you got a very busy evening. Thank you again for having us. Oh, I forgot to say, thank you, Robert. See, that's why I'm here. Sorry, Ann. Real quickly, we've had to use the Farmers Branch services through the last 8 years. There's one thing we know as a soccer coach in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is that Farmers Branch has the nicest soccer fields in the city. And I'm not kidding about that. She's kicked me off of them many times when I was trying to get my teams on there, sneak them onto practice. However, several times in the last 4 or 5 years, I've actually called the head of the Parks and Recreation Department to come out and take a look at my field at Brookhaven and give us some tips on the fertilization, the aeration, the pre-emergence. And in addition to that, they've helped us prepare for our regional championships this past season. So I really want to thank Farmers Branch for supporting us. We don't have a lot of resources, and so that resource is huge to us. Thank you very much.
Ann Stokes with Tourism, and we just want to say thank you. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your hard work. I know it's hard work, and go Bears.
Wait a minute, there's got to be a story behind this ring.
You shouldn't have asked. Okay, so you see this ring right here. This is not what happens is when you win a national title, it takes you like 6 months, unless it's COVID, then it's 9 months to get your ring. So this was our 2019 national championship, and the first ring was 2017. We weren't very experienced at ring design or manufacturing or building, so we didn't do such a good job. That one didn't get out of the closet much. But this is my favorite. It was from 2019. It was a special year. We hit the design just right. But you can see some of the girls. Those of you that were with us last year that won the title, you'll see their rings. They've got some bling on too. And each year, after we win it, we start the design process, and that's part of the fun is the girls get in the room and they start picking out colors, gold, silver, shapes, logos, what words we're going to put on it. There's sometimes a battle back and forth. Every now and then we have to sell it on the field. Is it going to be gold or silver? Okay, meet on the field tomorrow. Winner gets all. So that's your story.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2. One more. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. This gentleman right here in the back, Albert Masters. Albert, he's one of my assistants as well. We played in college together. He's a wonderful mentor. He's a CPA in the community. One of the girls are mine.
Okay, thank you. Next is a presentation of service award to Sandy Carter. Sandy? Here. Hi, Sandy. For 5 years of service to the City of Farmers Branch and the Park and Recreation Department. The Parks and Recreation Department recognizes Sandy Carter for her 5 years employment with the City of Farmers Branch. Sandy began her career with the city in 2018 as a coordinator of the Twilight Farmers Market in the Special Events Division and was promoted to Senior Markets Sponsorship Coordinator in 2019. When the department recognized the need for a dedicated sponsorship recruiter, Sandy's previous work in sales and marketing made her a natural choice. She was promoted to the Senior Market Sponsorship Coordinator in February of 2019, and to date has secured over $135,000 in sponsorships by establishing solid and positive relationships with the Farmers Branch business community. Sandy, his innovative and creative spirit were in full display when the department's director challenged his staff to develop a new project and promotions for Farmers Branch. She and her team answered the call. They came up with the idea of the Montgomery Park volleyball courts. Okay. Sandy is instrumental in the planning and production of the city's 75th anniversary celebration in 2021, as well as development of the new events such as Denton Drive Live, Family Night in the Park, and the signature events including Christmas in the Branch, Bloomin' Brewgrass Festival, and the Independence Day celebration. Her new duties include recruiting and managing marketplace vendors, concierge, and an entertainment program, and contracting box office operations, marketing and promotions, website development, and management overseeing the division's social media and graphic arts contractors. She is currently working on achieving her CFEA status, Certified Festivals and Events Association, through the state's professional group, the Texas Festival and Events Association. She has 2 sons and a daughter and has recently become engaged to be married. Well, congratulations. Thank you, Sandy, for your 5 years of exceptional service dedicated to the city. With that,
Just keep my train of thoughts.
okay.
Oh, my glasses. Thank you all so much. Thank you, council and the city leadership and the mayor. I want to thank my children, my son Landon, my daughter-in-law Georgie, my daughter Lily, and my fiance Dan for being here tonight, and for coming out to support me. 5 years ago, I was first hired here to run the farmers market, and then I quickly moved in to special events and sponsorship. It wasn't long after 3 employees here with close to 100 years of service would retire from the city, and my thought was, wow, they must really love their jobs. I found out pretty quickly why. The Lord has truly blessed me, not with just a job I love, but with a work family. One that would love and support me through one of the hardest times of my life. We truly love and care about one another. To have a job that you want to get up and come to every day is truly a gift. And Farmers Branch is truly a special city. We have a great leadership and one who truly cares about their employees and their citizens. I made a montage of a video of the last 5 years and shared it recently on my Facebook, and I couldn't help but cry. Tears of joy. It truly fills my heart with happiness. What other job do you get to paint your face like Paul Stanley from Kiss? Kiss a fish. Dance with residents, dig in the mulch with kids, and seeing the fruits of the labor in the smiles of those enjoying events that you've created. I feel honored to be part of the city and the special events team. I love what I do, and it's truly such a rewarding job. I will now share a few moments with you that come to mind when I think about our city events. I see a circle of teens, girls dancing to Proud Mary, a child running through bubbles as she jumps into the arms of her dad, the wonder in the eyes of a toddler as she sits on Santa's lap, the couple as they cuddle together under the blankets as they watch the fireworks, the tears running down your own cheeks as you light the Christmas tree to underneath the tree. Thank you all for letting me be a part of the city and a part of special events.
Thank you. Next is a presentation of a service award to Steve Rutherford. Steve? Hi, got your family here?
I do.
Come on up.
She's right there. I lost her.
Okay. He'll throw the football to you. This is a presentation of a service award to Steve Rutherford for 20 years of service to the City of Farmers Branch Police Department. The police department recognizes Steve Rutherford for his 20-year employment with the City of Farmers Branch. Steve began his career with the city in 2003 as a patrol officer. In 2018, he transferred to the Crime Prevention Unit. Over the past 20 years, Steve has been assigned to the Accidental Reconstruction Team as a crime scene technician, police instructor, and as a police information officer. Steve is the only certified crime prevention specialist in the police department. Steve is a family man and loves spending time with his wife, Karen, son, Nathan, and 4 daughters, Jordan, Shelley, Jenna, and Sydney. Steve has founded the Texas Peace Officers Memorial, which honors fallen officers and has raised over $325,000 in funds to support the families of fallen officers. He enjoys raising and feeding his pet deer, peacock, and catfish. Okay. Here's your pen. And this must be something these guys are doing.
Sorry, I'm going to talk, if that's all right.
That's certainly all right.
You sure?
That's certainly all right.
Hi, Assistant Chief Stokes, Eric Stokes, Farmers Branch Police Department. And you know, sometimes I hear some of the other directors and assistant directors come up here and say how proud they are of their department. Well, tonight we truly are one example of why Farmers Branch Police Department's the best. And I can tell you why it's the best. You know, when I think of 20 years with Officer Rutherford, and if I could put his career in maybe 3 words, it would be heart, passion, and care. Rutherford cares about all the citizens of Farmers Branch, whether they're coming through or living here. And you know what? He cares about the men and women that wear this uniform. And most importantly, he cares about the families of the men and women that wear this uniform. Officer Rutherford, I tell you what, it's evident through him being a crime prevention officer. He's a crime prevention officer because he has a heart and a passion for teaching everyone about active shooter training, crime prevention. He does the Citizens Police Academy. And you know what? You'll even see him out in the streets handing popsicles out to kids to say, hey, listen, we're here for you. We're watching you. We care for you. That's Officer Rutherford. And that's the type of person that we have for this police department. And we thank you for everything that you do. You know, one thing I'll say, sometimes we get asked, hey, where are we at in our staffing, or why we're not at 100%? Well, I blame Officer Rutherford why we're not at 100%. See, because when I got started, our expectations was here. Officer Rutherford comes and the expectation goes up there. And you know what? We don't waver from those expectations at all because the citizens demand it. They expect it. They want the officers like Rutherford. If they call us, they're going to have an officer that has a heart for service, that care for their citizens, and that are passionate for what they do. Officer Rutherford, thank you for 20 years of service. Officer Rutherford, you got 20 more in you. I won't be here, but you'll be here. And as a token of our appreciation, we want to give you this football.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Let me smile for Jeff. All right. Well, thank you, Assistant Chief Stokes. I'm impressed you did that on the fly with no notes because I brought my notes with me this evening. Welcome, Farmers Branch, to your council meeting. Anybody having a good day today? Good evening? I love to talk, and I'll tell you this. Most officers shy away from the opportunity to come to a council meeting to receive their service award. A lot of officers elect to get their award at the police station. Me, my first question when I got offered, hey, you want to get it at a council meeting or you want to get it at the station? I'm like, well, do I get to talk? So yeah, you get to talk. I'm like, well, heck, let's do this at the council meeting. That sounds like fun. So again, I absolutely enjoy the opportunity to talk, the opportunity to get out in the community and meet folks. Got a couple things I want to share with you over the last 20 years of my career here in the city. Really, the last 20 years has not been a job. It's been a journey. I am currently your crime prevention specialist and the public information officer for the police department. I'm involved in every aspect of our community outreach and our community training. I absolutely love it. It gives me the opportunity to meet a lot of folks, make a lot of new friends. You know, law enforcement's a difficult line of work. From our first 15 years here, I was assigned to patrol. I witnessed the good, bad, and everything in between. I've seen families reunited, and I've seen families torn apart by tragedy. I've saved a life, and I've also seen a life taken right in front of me. For the majority of the last 20 years, I've been a fatality accident investigator and investigated multiple accidents involving the tragic loss of life. I've stood in front of families multiple times and delivered the worst words they will ever hear by telling them that their loved one will never be coming home. Officers have a dangerous job. In October 2008, I didn't get to go home at the end of my shift. Instead, I found myself in the ICU at Parkland Hospital because I was struck by an intoxicated driver on 635 while I was conducting a traffic stop. I was extremely lucky and I recovered from my injuries. The driver that hit me accepted responsibility. That floored me. She accepted responsibility for her actions, pled guilty in a court to a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. After she was sentenced, her attorney told me that she wanted to meet with me and apologize. I agreed to meet with her. She apologized to me and I offered her forgiveness. We then hugged. That was a very pivotal point in my career at that point. Unfortunately, each year, many officers never return home at the end of their shifts. My wife, Karen, joined us this evening. Wave. All right. My wife's previous husband, Dwayne Frito, was a Fort Worth officer killed in the line of duty on December 17, 2006, after his patrol car was struck by an intoxicated driver on 35, just south of downtown Fort Worth. I'm extremely involved with assisting the families of our fallen officers. My passion for assisting these families led me to creating the Texas Peace Officers Memorial Ride in 2014. The ride is an annual 2-day, 150-mile bicycle ride that ends at our Texas Peace Officers Memorial on our state capitol grounds. Each of my participants rides in honor of a fallen officer. The event is held in conjunction with our Texas State Peace Officers Memorial Ceremony and raises funds for the Concerns of Police Survivors organization that provides funds and assistance and counseling to the families of our fallen. To date, we've raised over $325,000. Former Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price is a good friend, and she's also a triathlete and has ridden with us multiple times. Which brings me to the question, Mayor, do you ride a bicycle?
Yes, I do.
All right. Hey, I'm going to be talking to you about this. Early last year, I signed off the board of directors for the organization and passed the reins on to a new board. My goal from the beginning was always to make sure the organization went on to live longer than me. 2 years ago, I found myself elected as president of the Farmers Branch Police Officers Association. Let's keep in mind I didn't run for the position. Okay? I was advised one day to check my email and look for an electronic ballot. I opened the ballot, and under president it said, select your choice, Steve Rutherford, or write your choice in here. I greatly appreciate the confidence my fellow officers have in me, and it is an honor to represent them. My goal is to make sure that all officers have an amazing and bright future in Farmers Branch, as well as help to foster the relationship between officers and those they serve through participation in community outreach. The most memorable times of my career thus far have been hazmat training. I visited our Nevada nuclear test site for radiological nuclear training. I've witnessed a car bomb explosion in New Mexico during explosives training. And I've gotten to play with VX and Sarah nerve agents on multiple occasions during chemical agent training. Well, I won't tell you where. I've had the pleasure of meeting and becoming friends with officers from all over the world. One of my friends, Tamara, is actually an officer in New South Wales, Australia. She tried to convince me to move to Australia and become an officer. Apparently it's really nice, except for the wild dogs, the poisonous spiders, the venomous snakes, and the sharks. It seems that everything in Australia wants to hurt you. So thanks, but no thanks. I will say this, 20 years ago, I raised my right hand and I swore to protect and serve the citizens of Farmers Branch. Looking around the room, you guys look pretty good. So personally, I think that means I'm doing a good job, right? All right. I know many of you in the room, and I get to call you friends. If we have never personally met, then reach out. Let's meet. If you ever see police-related topics in the media, anything that raises questions or concerns about policing, call me. Let's sit down for coffee. Let's have lunch. Call the station, ask for Officer Rutherford. I'd love to sit down and talk to you about it. If you know me, then you know the most important thing to me is investing in people. It's not about me, it's about everybody else. God did not put me on this earth to consume. He put me on this earth to contribute. Always leave a place better than you found it. When my end day comes, I want to look back, smile, and realize that I made a difference and I did the work He intended for me. I challenge everyone here this evening to invest in others, make a difference in this world. Again, this is not a job. It is sweat, it is blood, it is tears. Police officers sacrifice themselves to serve. All officers will sacrifice themselves physically, and some will sacrifice their mental wellness. Many officers may come across as rigid and rough. It's usually because they're guarding themselves mentally from things they have seen and witnessed. Multiple studies have shown that on average, a police officer will witness 188 critical incidents over the course of their career as compared to the average person who will experience 2 to 3 in their lifetime. Officers must be intentional about remaining positive, as many things they are exposed to are negative. Officers are humans, we are not machines. Officers subject their bodies and minds to the most extreme conditions and situations. We are called to serve and will stand between danger and those we serve, even if it costs us our lives. We will come to work and give you our best every day. Farmers Branch has the best officers, and I stand behind all of them. I'm proud of this city. I'm proud of this council. I'm proud of our city leadership. I'm proud of my fellow employees, and most importantly, I'm proud of our residents. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you, Farmers Branch. My journey continues. My name is Steve Rutherford, and I'm one of many of your Farmers Branch police officers. Thank you.
Okay, next is a presentation of a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award and Certificate of Achievement for the Excellence in Financial Reporting by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. You want to come up here? Get this up. Okay. The Government Finance Office Association of GFOA is the United States and Canada has presented an award of Distinguished Budget Presentation to the City of Farmers Branch for its 2021-22 budget, an award of Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the city's 2021 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. The GFOA program were instituted to encourage all government units to prepare and publish easily readable and understandable financial dockets covering all funds and all financial transactions of the government during the year. The GFOA believes that governments have a special responsibility to provide the public with a fair presentation of their financial affairs. These financial reports go beyond the requirements of a generally accepted accounting principles to provide the many users of government financial instruments with a wide variety of information useful in evaluating the financial condition of a government. Bond ratings, agency favorability consider these awards during the credit evaluation process. This is the 25th consecutive year the City of Farmers Branch has received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award and the 33rd consecutive year for our receiving a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. These awards present a significant achievement to the Farmers Branch and reflect the community of a city council and a city administration to meet the highest principles of government budget and accounting and financial reporting. Okay, I have the award here. What's it to do? Okay. Would you like to say something?
I do.
Sure. Get
I'm
my
not going to
paper.
be as lengthy. I have a few notes, but this award is kind of like the two awards. We've got the Certificate of Achievement for our financial reporting, and then we have our Distinguished Budget Presentation. It's kind of like the Oscars for our finance department. And along those lines, I would like to have our budget manager, Suzanne Pritchard, come up alongside me, and our accounting manager, Pamela DeHaan, come as well. These were the leaders of the awards. They received this award. This is your award because this was a lot of work. They put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into getting the budget documentation out, where it was a published document. We had a clean audit, and we had a financial report that met the stringent guidelines for communicating our financial plan and the end results. And so they put a lot of hard work into submitting all of our required documentation to the GFOA. And we're going to say in accounting we have a lot of acronyms. Government Financial, goodness, I've just forgotten it. Government Finance Office Association, thank you. We're going to have some more of those later on during our agenda. But we talked previously about a 5-year service award and a 20-year service award. Between my two leaders and the finance team, they have 55 years of service. Finance department is kind of our background. They don't like to come out into the light, and I want to spotlight 35 years of service for Suzanne this past year and 20 years for Pamela. And so I think that's wonderful. They are dedicated, and they've put, like I said, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into getting out our financial documentation, being good financial stewards, and these awards are just part of the recognition that they deserve. So congratulations.
I'm going to do an employee of the month, and I'm going to ask, this is something initiated by Councilman Jackson. I would like to have him come down and make the presentation, if he would.
So I get the honor to present the Employee of the Month award this month. And, I just sent a simple email about a month or so ago. I just sent a simple email about a month or so ago to Tammy because I noticed how quickly she came in and just really got to work and became a leader in our finance department. She started as our finance director back in December. And one night I was reviewing a council packet and I sent her an email. It was probably 9 o'clock at night, thinking she'll see it in the morning when she gets in. And about 10 minutes later, I got a response from her. She was still here working with auditors. And so I got to thinking about my encounters with her and meeting with her and with Ben over the last couple of months. And I thought she needs to know that she's doing really well. And so I sent her an email, and I thought it was going to be here, but it's up there. But let me read this. So at the City of Farmers Branch, we have a strong culture that nurtures respect, where we value everyone's opinion and acknowledge their perspective. We strive for excellence. We constantly look for ways to do our very best, and we believe in accountability. We care and trust. These are our city's core values, and this is our culture, REACT. So the leadership of City of Farmers Branch appreciates the effort, dedication, and time that our employees put in to their jobs, and they put a lot of hours into their job, regardless of what department they're in. They put a lot of hours in their jobs for our city. So the city has a program to recognize employees for depicting these values. We appreciate and recognize our employees' hard work and are here to recognize their efforts. And so to recognize our REACT culture, our Employee of the Month is Tammy Zimmerman and her team in the Finance Department. Tammy and her team show tremendous respect and care toward our citizens and businesses. Their efficiency, professionalism, and above all, excellent customer service is exemplary. This has set higher standards in the organizations. We appreciate your commitment to our city, and you're truly appreciated by all. Thank you, Tammy. There you go. Come in, Mayor. Come in front.
Oh, well, I got to finish. So,
The clock is ticking.
yeah, no, I'll get y'all out of here by 8 tonight. Well, I mean, y'all can start y'all's meeting at 8. So part of the culture committee is going to explain those that don't know how this all works. So it's just not this random thing that happens. But we have our culture committee. We have Tom Higgs, who's our fleet and facilities director. We have Jawaria, who's our chief of staff in the city manager's office. You have Rachel, who's our parks director. And then Yoko, our new HR director that just joined with us starting Monday. And so we make up the REACT Culture Committee. And so what happens is we have people in our city that will turn in a REACT card. And then we, as a committee, we meet every Wednesday. And then we look and see, are they worthy of, is it just a REACT card? Do they get a REACT coin? And so Tammy received a REACT coin. So that's the next step to that. And then from there, we look at all the our employees that received a REACT coin, and then we determine which one stands out as Employee of the Month. And so that's what you just heard about Tammy doing that. So she does. She goes above and beyond, and so does her team. I think they're amazing. They get us paid. They get us fire trucks and police vehicles and all kinds of good stuff, right? And so tonight, to honor her, I mean, if you notice, Tammy, come stand by me real quick. If you notice, she's wearing her favorite color. Don't worry, Kevin. It's okay, Chief. But she had no idea. She's wearing red, the fire department, right? So we wanted to honor her tonight to add a little bit thing. So tonight, thanks to her being Employee of the Month and all she's done, I think part of her getting Employee of the Month was she got us a $2.1 million fire truck a couple months ago. So here's right here. So on behalf of the fire department, city, and then we've got your little badge right there. I think so. So if you can, help me congratulate Tammy Zimmerman as our voluntary fire department member tonight.
Can I say a few words? Okay. When I first heard about this award, the first thing that came to mind. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, all of my karaoke flashbacks are coming. So when I first heard that I was the recipient of this award, the first thing that came to my mind was, it's not mine to receive. I have quite a wonderful team that made me look good. And I want to shine the spotlight on this team. A lot of them are here tonight. And finance and court don't often get showcased. As I mentioned, we work in the background. We keep your lights on, we pay the bills. They're a bunch of hardworking, dedicated individuals, and I couldn't be prouder to work with them and be a part of this team. And we're finance, so we're going to talk numbers, and I'm going to do it quickly because I like to be brief as well. But this fiscal year, I had a budget team, Suzanne Pritchard, that passed a $180 million budget. I had our finance team with Perla, Tavera, Pamela DeHaan, and we've got, well, some others that weren't able to be here, but $60 million in disbursements. They accounted for $3.5 million in grant expenditures. We have our purchasing department, and Camille's back there. 82% of those disbursements were through a purchase order or a contract to 1,400 vendors. We had our Treasury Department, which he's not here tonight, but Mark Woodward, he's the safekeeper of $128 million in investments. We have our customer service. We have Leslie and her team. They bill 11,000 utility customers. They collect and reconcile all of our city revenue. We have our court. We have several members here from court tonight, Wanda, Lisa, Connie, that have 1.7 million in collections and had over 6,600 in violations and citations that they went through. That's just a brief snippet of the workload that we do and keeping everything running and going. And I'm just honored to be part of this team, and I share this recipient award. And the hat, we need hats. We need more hats with finance and the court. Thank you so much.
Don't forget your hat now. Okay. Jeff, I think you're up. Okay.
Items of community interest for this council meeting of March 21st, 2023. It's not too late to sign up for the Citizens Fire Academy. In fact, there's one spot left. Only one spot as of tonight. It's a 9-week program on Thursday nights covering everything from fire extinguisher training to care flight, helicopter landing, and CPR. The academy starts this Thursday. Call Wendy Kempton at 214-316-2383 to register.
Let's put that over here.
Help us celebrate spring in the branch with your best photos. Enter the city photo contest in any of 3 categories: parks, people, and pets. Just post your best pics on Facebook or Instagram with #InTheBranch, and then look for our comments requesting to repost them. Winners will receive $100 gift cards to local restaurants. We also want to recognize all Farmers Branch Elementary School students on the AB Honor Roll this semester at CFBISD schools. If you qualify, bring your latest report card to the Aquatic Center to receive a free day pass to the Frog Pond this summer. Get out and enjoy the historical park this Sunday by flying a kite. Everyone's invited to the Meadow this Sunday on March 26th between 12:30 and 5:30 to launch a kite. Admission is free, and so is the great spring weather. Spring cleaning includes your garage, and you can drop off those old cans of paint, plus chemicals, batteries, fluorescent tubes, and other household hazardous waste anytime at the Dallas County Chemical Collection Center. That's at 11234 Plano Road. If you need more details, call them at 214-553-1765. Don't forget our annual adult Easter egg hunt. That's coming up next Friday, March 31st from 8 to 11 p.m. again at our historical park. It's fun, and the competition, I'm told, is fierce. Only for adults 21 and over. $25 admission includes wine and light refreshments. Every egg contains a prize. Call 972-406-0184 to register. Bring a flashlight and good running shoes. We are counting down the day to the new Denton Drive Live season. The award-winning concert series is back this year, bringing top area bands to perform at our Grove. We're going to kick off the season next month with ZZ Tex and Seeger System. That's on April 15th, so we'll see you there. And all artists, you have one more week to get your best design submitted for our 3rd annual bookmark contest at Mansky Library. Submit an original design with this year's theme, City in a Park. Entry forms are available now, and a winner will be selected in each age group. And as always, you can sign up for City e-News at farmersbranchtx.gov. Mayor, that's our items of community interest.
Okay, thank you, Joe. All right. Next is discuss the state of the city. Did anyone on the council have anything they would like to bring forward that their experience from the last council meeting? No? Okay. I may make a comment. Last council meeting we had, okay, sure.
Mayor, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Parks and Recreation Department. I had the opportunity as I departed from City Council last week, or 2 weeks ago as we met, to stop by our Orrin Good Turf field, soccer field. And if you have the opportunity this evening, it's nearby. At least that evening, the weather was nice and crisp, and there were about 50 individuals out there utilizing the park. And it was good to see. And I had an opportunity to send an email to Rachel Arroyo, the parks director, and tell her that the crew that was out there, the teams that were out there, were enjoying the facility, and we're looking forward to bringing more of those opportunities across the city. So looking forward to working with the staff, but really wanted to say that our parks are being utilized, and we're really appreciative of all the effort to bring that new concept of the Orrin Good Turf to our neighborhood. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Last council meeting was brought before us with a contract for the county for doing our election, and there was some concerns brought by citizens, which I think were legitimate concerns, and it was at a point in time where it was very difficult to do anything different in contracting, but we did send a cover letter with the contract pointing out the issues that you folks brought forward, the issues dealing with our concerns about the security of the elections, and I hope they take heed to that. I think it's always a good situation if you advise some entity of some concern before it happens, and it does happen. You usually have a lot stronger legal position to do something about it as a result of the fact that you've told them. It's news that goes a long way, and it's just like we have a pothole in the street and nobody reports it. We might be able to get away with it, but we have people report a pothole in the street, and if we don't fix it, then we become liable. So it's kind of along the same principle with that. And the other thing I'd like to bring to your attention, the state legislature is in session now. And every time we have a legislative session, I think all of us in the city kind of hold our breath as to what might come about as a result of further restrictions on cities. And I think it's a bad trend we're seeing in this country today more and more power moving up the structures of government, and the federal government allowing it over the states, states allowing the county, and then over the cities. And I think it's a reverse trend. You know, this is the closest you are to your government. You come here, you talk to us, you express your opinions about things. This is where, in my mind, where the government works best. It's where your people are the closest to the government. And the further you get away from government, the worse off the situation seems to come. Your ability to do something about it is much more difficult. And so I would ask you all to pay attention to what the state legislature is doing down there, and restrictions on that they keep wanting to put on states and things like that that are I think adversarial to all of us. And so I would certainly caution you to pay attention to what's going on. And if you see something that you think is contrary to your best interest, let your representatives, state representatives know that, and advise them for that. So, and with that, we will move on to items on the consent agenda. You have before you 3 items on consent agenda. Do I have any comments about that? Anybody want to move anything off or question about anything? If not, can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
Okay, you have a motion before you made by Councilman Merrick to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Robbins. All those in favor, please cast your ballot. Okay, we have 5 yeses and no zeros, so we're past that. Okay, let's move on to item L1, which is a public hearing. This is consider a public hearing to consider a request to rezone approximately 3.9 acres of property located at 13342 Midway Road, described as Lot 1, Block 1, Midway McEwen Addition, from Light Industrial Zoning District to Planned Development District Number 108, PD 108 Zoning District, including creation of PD 108 to allow including but not limited to a multifamily residential development with a structural parking garage as a permitted use, establish related development standards, and take appropriate action.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a quick minute of all of you to introduce Marcos Narvaez, our newest addition to the team. He's our lead planner. Some of you might have seen him before, but this is the first time he's presenting here in front of you. We stole him from a municipality down south, and I'm proud to say he has been a great addition to our team. He brings a lot of experience in the field. He has worked with North Central Texas Council of Government, TCEQ, and of course the last municipality he has been with for about 10 years. So I know. I'm looking forward to have him for 15 years here, for sure. One quirkiness about him, he brings a good sense of humor, which God knows I need that in a day-to-day life.
Thank you, Sarupa. Mayor, council members, the applicant is requesting to rezone this parcel from a light industrial district to a planned development district for multifamily uses. As you can see on the screen, the property is at the corner of Midway Road and McEwen Road. Currently contains a 2-story vacant structure. The applicant does want to demo this site and build a new 6-story building with approximately 364 units and a multi-level parking garage. Through this review, staff did use the city's multifamily development policy and the East Side Comprehensive Plan for guidance. Here's an overview of the site. Their goal is to create an urban-style environment by bringing the building closer to the street with some enhanced streetscaping. As you can see, the plan does include multiple public plazas, dog parks, interior courtyards, and a rooftop courtyard, all with various amenities. Wider sidewalks, decorative street lights, and street trees will run along Midway and McEwen Road. As mentioned earlier, staff did review this against our multifamily policy. Based on the table that you have on the screen, The applicant does fall short on a couple of our policies, specifically the mixed use and the open space. And obviously, we understand that every lot does come with some challenges. In this particular case, a mixed use component is not being sought by the applicants. Regarding open space, the applicant is providing approximately 130 square feet per unit versus what our policy asks for, which is 150 square feet per unit. I can say that the applicant has tried to utilize as much space as humanly possible, which they tried to fulfill with private yards, multiple courtyards, plazas, and dog parks. The building design does contain a mix of durable materials, various colors, a lot of glazing. As you can see, the roof lines are articulated with cornice detailing and various heights. The east side plan does show that the area is within what we call the Regional Commerce District. This district does support high-quality apartment housing, wrapped parking structures, and one of the goals is to improve walkability. Staff did find that the proposal is consistent with the plan and does meet the general intent of our multifamily policy. So normally, a conceptual plan is adopted when we do a zoning request, and afterwards, we do a detailed site plan through a completely separate process. In this particular case, the submittal we received provided a level of detail that you normally see with a detailed site plan package. Given that we received that level of detail, staff is proposing that the site plan, the elevations, and the landscape plan that's attached to your ordinance, that actually serve as the detailed site plan package. It's also important to note that if the applicant were to come back with any major changes, it would require them to go back through a formal amendment process, meaning that we would come back to the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council for approval of any major changes. 12 notification letters were mailed to surrounding property owners. We did receive one letter in opposition within that 200-foot boundary. On February 27th, the Commission did unanimously recommend approval of this zoning request and the associated detailed site plan as presented. The applicant is here to answer any questions. At this time, I'll continue to stand to answer questions if there are any.
Would the applicant want to make any comments?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members of Farmers Branch. I'm Andrew Ruig, 2201 Main Street, Dallas, Texas, with Master Plan Land Use Consultants. I just want to say a couple quick notes. We've been working with Marcos and Sarupa on this for about 5 months or so in the staff review process, so we've got a lot of feedback from them. And we think that this ended up at a place that meets all the policies in Farmers Branch, the East Side Plan, Multifamily Development Concept Plan, and all the different items and regulations that are with the city's plans. This does provide a really enhanced landscaping and pedestrian-oriented environment, which we think we're really proud of, and that'll help play into the entertainment district overlay, which is not specifically earmarked for this site, but in the surrounding vicinity. So with that, happy to answer any questions on this and appreciate your support. Thank you.
Okay. This is a public hearing. I have one person signed up to speak to this. I think Rick Johnson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Mr. Glancy. I have real concerns about this. Every comprehensive plan that we have done for an area never seems to turn out like it's supposed to. We know that. We don't have the retail that we were supposed to have in Mercer Crossing. If we went by one that we had 16 to 18 years ago, the four corners would all have shops underneath them. We would all have 2-story, 3-story apartments above them, and the world would be a perfect place. Once this Pandora box is open, we can't put it back in. And we have so many apartments now, it's unbelievable. We have now either reached or we have went across the 2 apartments for every household in the city by far. The problem with it is you have Blue Lake, you have the other developments over that way, you have a highly congested traffic place. Out of the 41 metroplexes, we're number 2 in the amount of apartments per capita only behind Addison. You see the struggle Addison's having now. That place has gone downhill, and they'll do anything to cut a deal to try to get anybody in there. The other issue that we have is we're going to have the Valley View Center that's going to be totally done into another complex. We have all the retail that comes up to every side of our border. So we're not getting the bang for the buck that we're supposed to be getting out of apartments or anything else. They end up costing us money. And eventually, everybody comes up here, we have the best plan. We have the latest, greatest, right? Well, when everybody else has the latest, greatest, you know what you have then? You just have apartments. And stuff happens. The economies go down, fluctuates between people wanting to live in houses and apartments and everything else. And then what you get is the downward spiral of places that we have in our city now that we can't blow out of there with dynamite. And it's a big problem. So you should really think about this before you open that Pandora's box. Because one, from now on, we need to make things that are built like that owner occupied. So we don't get the transient living, because that has cost us much in police calls and everything else. It's documented. The west side out there has been a problem. They admit it. We don't need to start that on another thing. We're a city in a park. Go ahead and fill that in all over there with apartments that are rentals, and you know what we're going to be? We're going to be a city in a courtyard in an apartment complex. Is that what you want? That's not what we want. That's not what the people who live here want. Hold a forum, a town hall meeting, ask them. It's time to do a different direction. Thank you.
That's all I have. Anyone else have? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Motion to do that?
Mayor, I motion we close the public
Okay,
hearing.
motion made by Councilman Jackson, close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Seconded by Councilman Merrick. All those in favor? Cast your vote. Go.
Does anybody
Let's-
want to make a motion to close public hearing and act on the ordinance, or you
Well,
need to have discussion?
okay, is there any discussion or want to act on the ordinance?
Conversation.
Okay, we want to have some conversation about it first. So,
I have this slide if you would like to call on it.
this one is about, this must just be common comment. Is this a public comment?
For this item.
For this item? Okay. Carlos Fontanez, would you like to speak to this item? We've closed the public hearing. I have a vote. Come on, go ahead. What?
That's for citizen comment. That's a citizen.
Oh, is this citizen comment? Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't clear on here. Okay, all right, thank you. All right. Councilman Jackson, you had a question you want to ask?
I do have some questions, Mayor, about this proposal. If we could take the slides back to the pictures of the property or the renderings. So looking at Midway and McEwen, this looks like a nice neighborhood, but I don't think it's a true-to-life depiction of Midway Road. Midway Road is kind of a superhighway through the middle of town. So I would like to understand more about the traffic flow, entry and exit into the complex, how that impacts Midway traffic, what the traffic on Midway is like today versus the impact that this is going to have. Let's talk about traffic first, if we could.
Sure, I can. Yeah, I mean, the applicant did provide a traffic impact analysis that obviously went through the DRC, Development Review Committee.
No, you can talk. I was just going to pull up the site plan.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, so that review did go through the Development Review Committee, and that's been reviewed by our engineering department. So any issues or questions that they had have been reflected on this site plan.
Okay.
Now, and I'm not sure if y'all want me to go into the TIA, but I do know that the level of service is rated at a level of service D. But for what that's worth, it is acceptable at this point.
Right, I just think it would be good for those that are here tonight and those that are watching to kind of understand the considerations that were taken in the design of this property to deal with the traffic patterns on Midway and McEwen.
Sure, that's a very good question, Councilman Jackson. As Marcos indicated, yes, they were required to do a TIA, which is requirement based on the unit count. However, if you look at this conceptual site plan, you'll see the existing property used to have a drive approach from Midway. So with this proposed project, they're closing off that drive approach. So right now, the only access points are going to be through McEwen. So that's a kind of change from your current conditions. So all the new apartment residents, if this project is approved and when they move in, they will be accessing this project off of McEwen. Now, if we talk about traffic counts, McEwen is a less traveled roadway versus Midway, of course. So that's a kind of a better option from a staff standpoint. Also, additionally, if you look at just the way this project interacts with the streetscape, we have tried to work with the applicant, and kudos to them that they have been very patient with us, going through the review process in much more detail than a zoning process would warrant. We have tried to put like barriers in terms of wider sidewalks, trees along the roadways where, or next to the building where it creates that buffer, where it would still be safe for encouraging pedestrian activities or people at least walking along those pathways. However, those familiar with the site would know it is a difficult site because there is a big retaining wall right now. With this project, the applicant is proposing to grade the site accordingly and actually provide a lower height retaining wall. So it's not going to have the appearance of, okay, you're walking along Midway and it's a big retaining wall like it stands right now. They're also going to remove that existing tall pylon sign. So the project would create a much better tasteful appearance in that major intersection. Also along McEwen Road, that's where they propose the two public plazas. The benefit of that is, like this is one location of that plaza, this is another location of the second plaza, and the dog park is proposed in this area. So those amenities that they are proposing meets the intent of our policy because those are better equipped to be used by both the residents as well as people in the neighborhood, current and future, because they're, again, McEwen is less traveled. It interacts better with their leasing amenities and their co-working spaces inside the building. If we go to the renderings, some of the renderings does try to capture, and I believe in your packet we have the full-size plans of these renderings where they're trying to show how these open spaces interact with the streetscape. So I know I'm not getting into the technicalities of the TIA, but that's how this project is trying to fit a difficult site that can be suitable for residents, for future as well as current.
Right, right. So there's actually an improvement because today the building that's there, even though it's empty, at one time it was a business.
Yes.
And it had an entrance and exit on Midway.
Yes.
And Midway is very busy, so we've moved that entrance and exit around the corner onto McEwen, which is less traveled. There's a red light at Midway and McEwen. That's not going to change.
No.
Right, okay. What's the expected completion? When do we think that people are going to start renting?
And I don't want to speak on behalf of the applicant if Zachary wants to answer that, but I know they're really eager to start construction and finish as soon as the plans are.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Zach Johnson with Fairfield Residential here on behalf of the applicant, 7301 North SH 161 in Irving. Goal being to try to get started this year. So if all goes well, following approval at this meeting, if we get it tonight, we hope to start off our plans and be into permit submission towards, call it Q3 of this year. If we can, we'd like to put a shovel in the ground by the end of the year. It is probably a 30-month completion process. I'd say you're probably closer to 20 months, 22 months to getting the first deliveries. And so just if we assume at the end of the year, you're probably 2025 to getting residents to move into the building.
Okay, so financing is all squared away and
As much as can be expected today, yes. I mean, we do have a capital partner on board that's committed to doing this. The next step is to go find construction lending, which we've been able to find in other projects. We closed 2 projects in Houston the first quarter of this year, about $250 million worth of product. And so we'll start that process in about 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Average rent amounts that we're expecting?
They're going to be in line with other Class A apartments. I'd tell you today, they're right around $2,000 a month. That's the average. When you look at it, it's ranging from around $1,400 on the smaller 1-bedroom units. Some of the larger 2-bedrooms that we have that are more suitable for larger families or people with children, 2-plus bedroom dens, those are going to be closer in probably the $3,000 range. So it's a range on the project.
And so help me understand some of the features of the apartment or property itself. And obviously, it looks like the parking is in the center of the building, so we're not going to see a parking structure from Midway.
Correct.
Or from McEwen. There was a 150 square foot per unit green space requirement that couldn't be met on this particular property, but I understand that you guys have done some additional accommodations to try and get as close to that as possible. Can you kind of illustrate that a little bit?
Yeah, and let me say, this is an item that we worked very long and hard with staff on, and it's been a very good compromise, I think, working with staff. I mean, we've spent months together going through the project. I think the sign of every compromise is everybody walks away with something that's most important to them. And we were really able to sit down with staff and various people throughout the department and talk about what was most important. So what we looked at was trying to do 2 things. One is get as much of that open space as possible while still meeting the goals of density on the project. The goal of this is to try to densify the area. This is really hoped to be kind of a catalyst project to help continue to gentrify this corridor. But the second and most important is creating useful, purposeful spaces, because there's a lot of ways to give space. And you can give a big green field that gives you 150 square feet per unit, or you can reduce the density to get a smaller project, but that doesn't mean people are going to walk into that big green field and actually use it. And so what we did with staff is we looked at the areas, and you can see, obviously we have 2 kind of internally amenitized courtyards. Those are going to be designed, primarily and principally for our residents. But then what we did around the exterior of the property, in creating the public plazas, the areas that we're inviting the public to come and join in interaction with the project. We created ground level courtyards on all of the ground floor units with the exception of Midway, just kind of giving us some safety concern reasons. Having direct entry units on Midway wasn't something that both staff and us felt comfortable doing. And then the last part was putting up an amenity deck, which you can see here kind of on the top piece. This is designed to be at the top level of the garage, and we wanted to create a space where residents could come away from, kind of the urban feature of the building. They could get themselves elevated in the air. It's going to offer really neat views of the Galleria District and the surrounding area. And some of these amenities in particular, that's a very expensive amenity. And so what we look at is if we can't meet the spatial criteria, can we better, in a smaller space, can we put more dollars into making purposeful spaces? And we believe that these are things that are going to create a more pleasurable experience in living there. We think tenants are going to look for these types of things. And rather than having just a big open field, this is something that gives you a purposeful place to drive to, and it helps us create better communities for our tenants and, create longer term tenants, a better project, we think, for the city in general.
And the units are generally 1 and 2 bedroom.
Correct.
Yeah,
we have some smaller set studios for affordable units that reach out to a different demographic, and then we have 2 bedrooms ranging anywhere from probably 1,000 square feet up to 1,600 square feet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilman, go ahead. Sorry.
Can you remind me how many units this is going to be?
It's 365 units. Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about what your parking is going to look like?
Sure. So you see all of the parking is contained in the structure you see kind of in the middle here. This is going to be a poured-in-place concrete garage. And it's going to, as you can see, it's kind of fully wrapped here by all the units on the north, east, and west side. And we've agreed to screen the south side with some decorative screening and materials as well. So it's all going to be contained on there. Typically, we run at I believe the parking ratio we have in the PD is 1.4, spaces per unit. Right now, we're showing a little bit higher than that.
How many total parking spots are you guys going to have?
Gosh, off the top of my head, I think it's 530 or so is what we've got in there. Okay, 560 maybe then. Councilmember Roman, I will say though, where we are in the design phase right now, we have not fully gone through construction drawings. And so as we go through that garage and service shafts get incorporated into it, proper striping comes into play, we have that ratio written in there to know that we get a guaranteed number of spaces. But I can't tell you we can commit to the exact number of spaces today. So that 1.4 ratio is really designed to control it. Which is what we have there in the parking section. We don't have a specific number because it is dictated by the number of units we end up with.
Okay. So I've been on McEwen before, and if I recall correctly, it's kind of if you're going up on McEwen, it's that means the apartments are going to sit on a decline. Are there any concerns, or have you explored water runoff issues and what that may look like, or how to alleviate those concerns and how that might affect your property?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Councilman Roman. That's a good question. So as part of and that was one of the reasons we were comfortable with processing this almost as a detailed site plan, because with their current plan, besides the site plan, they had submitted utility plans and drainage plans with the drainage calculations, which our Public Works team, our Director of Public Works, Ryan Sartor, has looked at, as well as Daniel Riggs. So they are comfortable with the way the drainage solutions have been proposed by the applicant.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Merrick?
You did talk, I want to follow up on the traffic. During the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, you talked about the slope of the property, and we just referenced that again. Could you dialogue a little bit about the first entrance going eastbound on McEwen at the second level, and the second entrance going in at a different level?
Certainly.
So we can kind of understand that concept.
Yeah, this is almost a Rubik's Cube to figure out kind of how to handle the grading challenges. If you look going left to right on this plan, which is going west to east, there's about a 25-foot grade change, which you actually can see dictated a bit here in some of these elevations. You can see how we've tried to illustrate the retaining walls and the different stem walls that run into the building. But what's happening here, the elevation of this intersection of Midway and McEwen sits right around elevation 604. Going into where this parking garage is, this rises generally, and this gets up to about 617 or 616 at this point, getting all the way up to about 624 over here. The garage is, or this entrance to the garage is at street grade, and then this actually ramps down in this section here, and then enters the lowest level of the garage, which is right around elevation 610. That is where this component of the building on the left-hand side of the plan is set, so that everything walks from this garage out to the same level here on this level. This area of building to your right is raised another story. And so what's happening here is, well, you're really at the midway in between two floors from the road to where the garage is. You're ramping down from the street into the garage, where this fire lane that comes along to the other side of the property here snakes around the building, comes through, and enters into the garage at level 2 of the garage. And so that is at a point to keep this level up to where fire can come back and fight fires on the building. And we have hose pulls coming from Midway both and this side. But because of the grade, you wouldn't want this sitting on a 10-foot, 12-foot retaining wall. So there is a little bit of intricacy in terms of where we're entering and exiting on here. But there are two means of egress and ingress into and out of the garage.
Correct. Could you also explain the concept that you developed related to trash removal as well?
Certainly. Out here, we have an enclosed trash, or a trash enclosure, I should say. And so all the trash within the building for all of the units are contained in, or have self-contained trash rooms. And so we'll have trash rooms in both areas where all the tenants will bring their trash and deposit here. These will be compactor units. And then based according on the sanitation pickup schedule, our staff will take those compacted units and they will drive them out here to our trash enclosure so that the trash trucks will be able to come in, pull these dumpsters out, dump them, and then we'll then return those bins back into the rooms. And so it'll all be self-contained on site.
Very good. One other question that came up during the planning and zoning meetings was that your company is actually managing the building.
Correct.
So I think that's very important to communicate that it's not, you're just building a building to sell to the next proprietor, if you will. You're actually building the building to operate the building as well.
Right, and we currently manage about 46,000 units nationwide. Our company operates all across the U.S. We have a very strong presence here in Central Texas. We also are the general contractor. So not only do we procure the sites, design them, develop them, but we also build them, and then we also manage them. And so it's a one-stop shop, which is one and nice, because if there's a problem, it's the same person to pick up the phone and call.
Very good. Thank you for your answers.
I have a couple of questions. When we're looking at the plan that's up and we're looking at the parking garage, as we've had these issues with other apartment complexes, have you considered the safety of the residents and how you're going to manage that in that particular type of parking? Have you?
So all of our garages will be gated.
Okay.
Access will have a section that is open to guest parking. But in terms of the actual, or accessing the garage, you'll have a very, have an amount of guest parking, and then the rest of it will be gated. And so that'll provide access for our residents and some sort of security in that perspective.
So the gate is beyond where the guest parking is?
Correct. We'll have an area, and likely as an example, you would come in and this area maybe would be open to guest parking, and then at some point there'll be a gate, call it somewhere around here, so that any leasing traffic, because again, all of the traffic that comes in to tour the property, to visit the property, will all be down at one of the lower levels, and then all of the residential parking will be at the upper levels that can connect straight into the floors.
Okay. And then this is probably for Supra, honestly. How long has the property stood open as it is?
Actually, that's a lamenting comment from Ms. Cook that I have been hearing for a long time, that property has been vacant for a long time, let's say 10 plus years.
Ironically, the property owner's here, and he hired me to lease it in 2008. It was empty then. Jeff has owned that property for a very long time, and a lot of properties in Farmers Branch, and it was a former furniture store, so over 12 years.
Okay.
Or like 14.
And that area on the other side of Midway, with the development, it's entertainment, correct? And there are other apartment complexes, if I'm not mistaken, or multifamily housing.
Multifamily townhome with the Blue Lake.
That are planned for that side that have come forth, are there? Are there
Well,
not?
the ones that are already built right now around what we call Blue Lake,
That's
it's
on the
Midway
other
Urban
side.
Village on the west side of Midway is already underway. So we don't have anything else aside from the Presidium multifamily deal, which is further west. It's near Saltgrass. So not exactly a stone's throw. But other than that, everything else, like to the north, you can see it's light industrial, and public storage is due east of the subject property. That's light industrial. And then you have Best Buy and whatnot in the PD 66 to the south that has a long-term lease on it.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to the safety because of 635. I mean, it's so close to 635. And then the building in front of it is only partially leased, if I recall correctly. I don't make it over that way very often. Have we done those studies? Have we asked, our police department to weigh in on that? I mean,
Actually, that's a very timely question / comment, I would say, because we just charged 3 Rutherford I mean, he's the officer who leads our mandatory crime prevention program, and we have made it our point to, for any future apartment projects, to make it part of, so that he's part of that review. Unfortunately, for this particular concept plan, it did not, Steve Rutherford probably did not see it, but Scott Bark with our fire department, he always looks at all of our plans from a fire safety standpoint. Last but not the least, any new apartment project that's gonna go out of the door, they will be required to meet our security policy that the city council adopted last year. So all those security features, whether it's cameras and everything, they will be required. So what we do from planning is any new zoning case involving apartments that gets approved, we provide them a copy of that security policy as well. We did that with the last zoning case that went through on Alpha and Welch. Now they are farther off in terms of construction, but the applicant will be aware of those security policies. That's a requirement.
Right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody? Let me ask you a couple of questions. Just a little philosophical a little bit, not about your project in particular, okay? Do you have any idea what these things would cost if they were condos?
Today's market is a tough one. I can tell you probably the best example would be, I mean, if you look at apartment sales for similar type units up in that area, they're ranging anywhere in the $300,000 to $400,000 per unit range for similar sized. Condo units, typically, you're going to fetch a little higher premium for, simply because you have the right to make your changes to it. But the condo market in Dallas has not really been as successful of a market as you would say, a New York or a Chicago or somewhere where condos have just been more prevalent. So it'd be tough to say, but I would tell you, even from a taxable range, that's kind of where they're trading at today, is between $300,000 and $400,000.
Okay. Historically, I have some empathy for some of the things that Mr. Johnson said, but I've had to rethink some things in my lifetime that haven't been, changed some things about housing today. I can think back when my wife and I got out of college. We both had college educations, and we both had pretty decent jobs, and we bought a brand new brick house, 3-bedroom brick house with 2 bedrooms and 1-car garage, and it took about 1 3/4 years of our income to do that. It was about $10 a square foot. Today, young people don't have that option. Housing today's, if you go buy a house like that house would have been, then it's probably $400,000 or $500,000. And it's not something that's obtainable for a lot of them, especially coming out with college debt and all kinds of things that they're doing. So I think we have to address a different type of economy we had back in those days. And I've been around here long enough. I've seen the booms and the busts. And we're in the stage of a boom again right now, and we need to capitalize on that. Now, the things you get in fear with, there's some point where you have an oversaturation of housing. And, if you bump up against that, then you end up with apartments that you have to either reduce the rent or set vacant. And I don't think we're at that point at this time. And I don't think either you folks are the developers of this. I'll couch the council in seeing this happen in the past. As these things start evolving and as they come before you, eventually you get to the point where you get people who are land speculators, they're not builders. And they come in and they get the zoning changed on a piece of property and escalate the value of it to 2 or 3 times what it was before, and then they sit on it and don't do anything with it, and then somebody else comes along and they're trying to push up the zoning, and there's a point where nobody can build anything on it and make it work. And I don't think we're at that point or anything like that, but I'm interested in stuff that actually gets built. I think this kind of stuff does present, and I conversely think it really helps our single-family residential property. I've talked to managers of facilities like you have, and a lot of them will tell me in 18 months to 2 years, a lot of these people end up being homeowners or want to be homeowners. They get to the point where they want families and to do that. And I think it actually drives up our residential values here because they're established in these areas. They set their lifestyle around the area and they want to stay in these areas and they end up buying the houses. And I think it's one of the things that's actually helped our residential property values with that. I think we have to think a little bit different than what we have in the past on this. And I think, all of that area over there, if you go along Inwood Road, back in the 80s, we zoned that to 4-to-1 density over there along Inwood Road. And you can put up some massive buildings over there, which were apartment type structures. And so I think a lot of this area over here is going to end up being that. The warehouses that were built over there in the 70s with local distribution and stuff like that were lower roof. They're not attractive today to most businesses and warehousing, and there hasn't, to my knowledge, come along something that'll occupy those spaces and be that successful. So I think we're going to face this kind of things in the future of housing, and I think we're going to have a more density. So that, council, any other comments or motions? Or
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment and then I'll make a motion if no one else has any other comments. Looking through the renderings and talking with Sarupa's group about this property specifically and taking some of the comments that the mayor just made into consideration. Frequently residents tell me no more apartments. And when they say apartments, what they have in mind are apartments that have been here for 20 and 30 and 40 years already. And we're not building the same apartments today that were built back then. These are apartments that are more accommodating to work from home, right? And as the mayor mentioned, to accommodate young professionals, and Farmers Branch is looking for a certain clientele in their multifamily communities. And this particular property is an extension from the Blue Lake area, which if you haven't been over there lately, go check it out. It's really nice, very nice. It's no longer a hole with water in it surrounded by office buildings. It's beautiful multifamily homes with garages and patios and walkways and dog park. So today's multifamily property is a very different property than it was years ago. The other thing that I hear from residents often is, we need more restaurants. I have to go to Addison to eat. I know what they're really saying is, I want to keep my money in Farmers Branch, but restaurants kind of have a hard time making it when they don't have people to come eat at their restaurants. And to have people, you have to have density. And as Farmers Branch, we have an opportunity to have density that doesn't interfere with our single-family home environments. This is on the east side of Midway Road. And that area from Midway all the way to the tollway, and frankly, it's already on the other side of the tollway going to Valley View, is multifamily. You've probably seen the 5 or 6 story apartments that are right on 635 on the other side of Galleria. These are set back a good bit, and they look a lot nicer than those do. So, the last comment that I'll make is that this property and the others that we've looked at in this area of town align very, very well with our comprehensive plan. So I think here we can say that our comprehensive plan is working, and we did a walking tour, and I was part of that on this side of town, where there is a mix of 18-wheelers and multifamily, and that's changing. People want to be able to walk to places. They want to walk to restaurants. There's a great, I don't know what you call it, like a food delivery type of business that is perfectly located over in that area of town that is just chomping at the bit for more residents to come to that area of town. And they're the kind of businesses that we want. And so these are the kinds of properties that we need at this time in that area of town. And so with that, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 3788 as presented.
You have a motion made by Councilman Jackson to approve this ordinance. Do I have a second?
Mayor, I'd like to second that.
Councilman Driscoll seconds it. All, please mark your ballots.
Mayor, just to ensure we close the public hearing, because we never did get.
Yeah, we need to add the public hearing.
Would you
to
add
it.
that to your
Is that,
motion, please?
is that acceptable?
And close the public hearing.
Second?
There shall be no doubt.
Okay,
Second that to close the public hearing as well.
okay, please cast your vote. Thank you. Council? Okay, we have a 5 yeses and no zeros. Okay, on the move, next item is a regular agenda item J1. Consider approving resolution authorizing Quorum Architects Incorporated to provide architectural design and relation items to develop the construction documents and provide administrative oversight of the Branch Connection renovation project in the amount of $298,300 and take appropriate action. Rachel?
Yes, sir. Rachel Arroyo, Director of Parks and Recreation. Mayor, Council, I appreciate being here. 2 things before I get started. One, I just wanted to thank Deb Hull and the rest of the Senior Advisory Board for their beautiful enthusiasm for this project, and the staff that has gotten us to this point. So what I'm going to go over today is the next steps for this renovation. So just a little bit of history. The Branch Connection was built in 2000, so it's in a little need of a refresh. We had potential ARPA funding, which became available in 2021. The city approved the Branch Connection as an ARPA project for fiscal year '22. And then the Senior Advisory Board approved the concept and layout, which you'll see here in a minute, which you'll see here in a minute, in 2022. Project overview. So as I go through these slides, you'll see renderings. They're beautiful. Take a look. So we'll go through those here in just a second. But it's essentially consisting of an interior renovation, reallocating the space. So Councilmember, you asked earlier, is this expanding? No, it's reallocating. So using the same 22,000 square foot, opening up, expanding inside, and then giving enhanced aesthetics, new features like a theater room and a coffee bar. And then the completion timeline. So at this point, this is that next step, taking us into getting construction documents. And then after that, once those are designed, developed, then we can go out for bid. And then that gives us our timeline. General timeline for closure would be roughly 4 to 6 months. But again, we have to go through this process first. So funding, the ARPA was $2.5 million, was approved for this project in particular. The contract before you is $298,300, which is for final design and construction drawing plans and then project oversight as well. This is just a quick overview of the demo plan. So all of the yellow dotted lines are the walls that will be taken down. That does not mean that it will be all completely open, but it is opening up the concept, and then some of those rooms will be restructured. So some of those walls will be moved. And then this is the general layout that was reviewed and approved by the board as well. So again, same 22,000 square feet. You see similar rooms like the ballroom, you'll have the restrooms, cards, billiards, arts and crafts, there'll be a library, the theater, which you'll see here in just a second. But overall functionality will remain with, again, enhanced aesthetics, and then a few other rooms that they haven't had before. The end.
The end.
And this is the theater room I was talking about. So what questions do you have for me?
Council, questions, action?
Thank you, Rachel. Long-awaited presentation, huh? Just a couple of questions. If we go back to the demo plan, back when, there we go. So there are currently restrooms over there that are going to go away, is that right?
No, so there'll still be 2 restrooms. One of them will be extended, so this one will remain, it'll be extended and we'll have the most. This one will be condensed, so it'll be 2 single restrooms instead of its current configuration.
Okay, all right, very good. And if we could go back one more slide. The pool table doesn't have any pockets for the balls to go in. Are they going to fix that?
And that's why we have to get a contract so that we can have correct drawings.
Details, Rachel.
I
Details.
understand. I hear you. I hear you.
Thank you.
They've got to win somehow.
You cutting costs?
Mayor, I have a question, if I may, for Rachel. Rachel, obviously with the demo plan, what are the plans for operation or addressing operations during the demo and rebuild?
So yes, the fun question. Well, it's a good thing because of COVID, they have a fantastic operation. They were able to operate that building for an entire year outside of their building. So they already have their plans, their spots, the rec center, the library, and everywhere else that will continue to house some of those programs. Will they be able to house every single program? Likely not, but those plans are already in place, so they're good to go.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I know Jackie was here earlier, and they've done a great job over the pandemic, and the senior advisory board as well, making sure all the offerings were available. So I appreciate that, and I know that disruption will be minimized to the best of their ability, but the facility will still offer the programming to the best of their ability. So thank you.
Any questions over here? Comments? Council? Action?
Mayor, make a motion to approve, I'll make sure I get the number, Resolution 2023-42 as presented.
You have a motion for approval by Councilman Merrick. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Jackson. Please mark your ballots. Okay, we have a 5-0. It passes unanimously. Move
Thank you all
on
very much.
to item J2. Consider approving resolution number 2023-034, adopting the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2022, as submitted by Forbes LLP, and take appropriate action.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Tammy Zimmerman, Director of Finance, and again, you get to see me. As far as recognizing, again, I'm very proud of our staff and getting a modified audit opinion. I'm going to throw in some more acronyms. Hopefully I can remember them all. But we call it the ACFR, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. We have worked diligently in the Finance Department, resulting in the highest assurance that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. We also have an unmodified opinion on the compliance and the schedule of our expenditures of federal awards. And I'm going to bring up here, we worked along with our auditing firm Forbes. They started their field work in the fall and worked along with us for several months. And hard workers. And they're here tonight to present their findings. And we have our senior manager, Lauren Berry. She's been with Forbes for about 9 years. And we have Tyler Hoffman, who has been conducting the field work and putting together the report presentation for 2 audit years, I believe, with Farmers Branch. So let me get their page to display. Excuse me just for a second. I need this to go into view. Full screen mode. There we go. And then any questions we can answer at the end.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Mayor, Council, thank y'all for having us tonight. We got the late spot. Lucky for y'all, our presentation's only about an hour and a half, so I'm just kidding.
Thanks.
We'll keep it brief. So like she mentioned, my name is Lauren Berry. I'm the senior manager. I work on, and Tyler as well, public sector jobs year round. This is what I do. I'm a CPA, but I don't do taxes. Don't ask me your tax questions. I love working for municipalities. This is my passion. I get super excited, talk super fast, so if I start getting too deep, y'all might have to reel me in. So here's Tyler. He is the in charge. He does all the work. If you're ever here during the audit, I get to take all the credit while he does all the work. He's here on site every single day working really hard with Tammy and her team. So this is your core team. So I got a very loose agenda. I'll kind of get through it briefly, but we're going to kind of go over the audit scope and results, some things looking forward to the future, and then any questions that y'all might have. So of course, this has been a Tammy night tonight, but we can't talk about the audit without talking about Tammy and her team. They put a lot of hard work into, I don't know if y'all printed it, but I'm a paper person, a lot of hard work into this document. I know it looks really pretty with all the colors and all the different numbers in there, but a lot of blood, sweat, and tears go into this document. And that GFOA award that she mentioned earlier in the night, that is a really big deal. And y'all should be very proud that the city has received that award for, I think, how many consecutive years? A long time. 33 consecutive years. That is something that y'all should be proud of as a city. That a lot of cities do not get that award, and so it is something that you should be commended for. So Tammy kind of stole my thunder. Surprise, the city got unmodified, which is what we call in the auditor world a clean opinion. So we actually issued 3 separate opinions. We have our audit opinion on the ACFR, the financial statements. We also have an audit opinion on compliance and other matters, which is what we call our government auditing standards opinion. And then, of course, we have our single audit opinion, which is our audit over your federal awards. All 3 of those opinions are clean, unmodified opinions. So next, I'm going to hit the highlights of this required communication that we sent out with y'all. I'm just going to go over it briefly, hit the highlights, and we can go over any questions y'all might have. Right here, back to our acronyms. So you can see here, the significant accounting policies are in Note 1 of the ACFR, which is the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Another acronym right here below it is GASB. So GASB is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. That is the standard setter. We have to follow the rules that they make. So this year, a really big item that we implemented was the leases standard. You've probably heard everyone talking about it. If you've tuned into the GASB world, it's been a fan favorite of everyone. So that was a really big deal that we implemented this year. For unusual accounting policies or methods, we don't have anything to report. Same with alternative accounting treatments. So as a part of any audit, there are some pretty big judgments and estimates that go into the audit. So here are the larger estimates that relate to the city's financial statements. So your accounts receivable and related accounts payable, accounts receivable and related allowance for uncollectible amounts. Your OPEB and pension liabilities, 2 big estimates. And then your estimates related to the leases, the discount rate, lease term, and lease payments. Then kind of hand in hand with that are your sensitive financial statement disclosures, the commitments and contingent liabilities, your OPEB and pension liabilities, tax abatements, and of course, leases. Surprise. So we also have no matters to report about the judgment of the quality of your accounting principles. So again, as a part of any audit, we will go through the numbers and we will look at what we call audit adjustments. And we'll take them to management, we'll go over them together, and they'll say, hey, you know what, we are going to make that adjustment, or hey, we don't think that's significant, so we're not going to make that adjustment. So right here is a list of the proposed and recorded audit adjustments. And then right below that is a list of the proposed audit adjustments not recorded. You can see here, do you want me to hit through them, but you can read them right there, of the adjustments that were proposed and recorded and the ones that were not recorded. Then last but not least, surprise, surprise, one of the more significant issues that we talked about with management was the implementation of GASB 87 leases. So with that, I think that the city should be really proud that we are issuing this ACFR timely. The big deadline for GFOA is 3/31. A lot of the cities that I've worked with have had to file extensions, and so they're not able to get all the information together to implement this standard. It was a really big deal. It's not just leases that were entered into this year, it's leases like ever, like that were like typed in the 90s on typewriters and stuff. So it was a really big deal. So y'all should be really proud of yourselves for getting this ACFR issued timely. So with that, look into the future. I won't spend too much time on this, except for this is my favorite part. I would love to spend a lot of time on it, but I won't. We got some big standards coming up that I want y'all to be aware of. GASB 94 and 96. There were some agreements that people tried to scope out of leases because they didn't want to have to implement it. So this captures those agreements for public-private and public-public partnerships. And then everything is moving to the cloud now. Subscription-based information technology. Subscription-based information technology arrangements is also going to be effective for fiscal year 2023. Last but not least, compensated absences, that will be effective for fiscal year 2025. And then looking forward, ESG, that has been a hot topic here for everyone. I think the city actually informed me yesterday that they have been making really good strides on this. We are currently not required to audit anything related to ESG, but I know that rating agencies have been asking for it. So with that, I will take any questions.
Council?
Thank you for the presentation. So while I am a financial planner, this specific niche area of financial accounting is not part of what I do on my day-to-day. So I want to understand, one of the things I keep hearing is a clean, unmodified opinion. So I want to understand what are sort of the different levels of a rendering that you could provide. Is this the highest? Is this in the middle? You know, where does this fall, and what are some of the other opinions that one could receive from an audit?
Yep, so a clean or an unmodified opinion is what you want. So that is the best opinion that you can get. The next level would be what we call a modified or a qualified opinion. So sometimes we'll have to qualify it on specific areas. And then last but not least is an adverse opinion, which you really don't want to get. That means that your records were in such a disarray that we weren't really able to audit them. So you got the best.
Okay, thank you.
Questions out here? Okay. Council? The motion to approve the financial resolution report?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 2023-034 as presented.
You have a motion before you by Councilman Roman. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Councilman Merrick seconds that action. All those in favor, please mark your ballots. Yep, 5-0. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. All right. Item K is to take any action necessary as a result of a closed executive session we had earlier this evening. Do I have any action to be taken as a result of that? Councilwoman Burton?
Mayor, Project Eisenhower motion, I move that the city manager be authorized to negotiate and execute on behalf of the city an economic development incentive agreement with Project Eisenhower to provide, one, for the rebate of 25% of the company's sales tax paid to the city for 5 consecutive years, conditioned on the company's leasing and occupying the real property located at 2711 LBJ Freeway, the second floor, Farmers Branch, Texas, and occupying the property for a period of 5 years. 2, the minimum sale of taxable items by company located in the city being not less than $25 million, and 3, that the standard city terms and conditions for incentive agreements to apply.
You have a motion put before you by Councilwoman Burton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Roman. All those in favor? Vote your ballots. Okay, we're 5-0, so that passes unanimously. Okay, the final item on our agenda is citizens' comments, and I have 2 for that. Cheryl, is that Taney or Tony? Okay.
Yes, so I am Cheryl Toney. I am one of the community directors for W3 Luxury Living, and we develop and manage the 3 communities with over 1,200 rental apartments off of Mercer Parkway. And I'm standing here tonight to bring to your attention what we feel is an unintended result to the city's mandatory crime reduction program. One of our communities has been placed on the program not for crimes against persons or the catalytic converter thefts, which plagued the city last year. We're here because we replaced what we feel partly is for package theft. During construction of the communities, we spent $1.1 million on cameras and limited access, building access throughout the communities. Our commitment was further showcased last March when our communities experienced several crimes in the parking garage, which were the professional vehicle and Cadillac converter theft rings, which hit many of the communities throughout Farmers Branch. In an attempt to solve this crime or help prevent, we installed an additional 64 cameras to each parking garage license plate camera readers at each parking garage entry, and additional cameras to the interior hallways. I'd like to add all of this was done before the mandate for the city for the cameras at a cost of $511,000. We hired third-party security patrol at the cost of $150,000 per year. Despite our best efforts, the city has a building fire code that prevents us from completely securing our community. We are unable to install limited access to our exterior perimeter fences. This was an oversight by the city, which has created a risk to keep non-residents out of our community and parking garage. My appeal tonight is regard to the theft of packages. Towers of Mercer Crossing has accepted over 29 packages last year. That's an average of 79 per day. 21% of the crimes that the city has used to calculate the crime risk threshold is package theft. Our community is unduly punished because our percent of packages allegedly stolen were 0.2%. We're urging the city to reevaluate what you consider crime under the crime reduction program. As it currently stands, the community this program will only affect our ability to attract resident profiles that we have brought to the city before. We have demonstrated our commitment to the crime abatement with our $750,000 investment last year. We feel that package is not a serious crime against a person and should be the reason why our community is mandated to the program.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We can't comment, but we will take your motion under. Next, I have Carlos Contadillas. Carlos?
You have to excuse my jeans and my casual. I was out flying today. Tomorrow we have a caravan that departs Farmers Branch to the Carrollton Farmers Branch Independent School District to bring public awareness to the issue of the fentanyl crisis that is happening in Carrollton Farmers Branch. Many people asked me many years ago if I would ever invest or be present in Farmers Branch, and I would like to let you know that for the past 5 years, I've had my offices located in Farmers Branch. We run a legal assistance foundation for indigent families on immigration and other issues, so we're located in Farmers Branch, and recently we've partnered to develop the old Tom Thumb retail facility and create an indoor retail mall. We've been working with the City of Farmers Branch, with Ellison and others, to present a plan of developing that project as an indoor retail mall. We developed one in Garland, a small 100,000 square feet retail mall, mini mall. Well, we've looked at the property 14510 to develop that. If you were to drive by there and go and look at that old Tom Thumb, you'll see that we've made a significant investment in that. It's a beautiful building, and we hope to be able to meet with you individually to present what we plan on doing with that building, and hoping that we'll get your approval and consideration to move forward. Right now, as it stands, the project that we are developing does not fall within it's not included in the general plan, the overall plan, but it's not excluded either. So it's kind of like a gray area. Is our business allowed or not allowed? And I'd like to have further discussions with individual council members regarding that development. And I thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Carlos. That's all I have on citizen comment. Huh?
He turned in a sheet. He had 2 sheets.
You talking what?
Yeah, he has a sheet as well.
He does. Oh, Rick, did you have a sheet? You didn't get up here?
It's in.
Council members? So, to be conscious about the time and stuff, I need to finish what I wanted to say about the apartments. The first one that I noticed is your traffic study would be flawed. Everybody's fled from Midway and have for over the last 8 months because of the construction. So that's not a proper gauge of what traffic really is like there. because people are avoiding that like the plague. And it's caused the numbers to be completely down. The other problem with it is, unless the city's in some kind of financial straits, what would have been wrong with waiting? What would have been wrong with seeing how the other stuff developed out first, unless for some reason we need the money? Because, there's probably better opportunities to come, but if you want to do something, basically, we want to be a part of it. We want to be a part of the decision making. That's what some of you guys ran on, and that's what we want. And we just felt this time again, just like we did last time with a bunch of the previous council, a couple of them still holdovers, we didn't get a chance to get a vote on anything. We didn't get a chance. People ignored us, just like they did on the redistricting and everything else. That's not why we put you up there. Obviously, in the future, apartments need to be a campaign issue, completely. And the fact of getting people that want to listen to the people, because ultimately, that's who you're here to serve. The taxpayer, the voter, the people who live here. We don't want stuff we're going to have problems with in 30 years when we already have stuff we can't get rid of. That is just like that. So shame on you. Thank you and have a good night.
Okay, that's all I have. Seeing no others, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Mayor, I make a motion that we
Motion
adjourn.
made by Councilman Merrick, seconded by Councilwoman
I
Burton.
second it.
All those in favor, vote your ballot. The time is 8:02, and we are adjourned. Thank you all for attending.